Welcome online, ladies and gentlemen. We're actually live streaming now onto YouTube and social media for playbacks. With that in mind, if you've just joined us in the Zoom room, please type in the chat. Do not be shy. If you want to be a high-ranking network marketing leader, being shy won't work. So type in the chat exactly where you're watching us from today. Every single person on phones, on computers, whatever it is, we'd love to see. We get into 74 different countries right now. Going to put on a timer. That's your cue to make sure your group's online because we've got some great content for today. Alrighty, now some people may or may not speak English, so the good news is we actually have closed captions which you can read along with, whether you're on social media, Facebook, and Zoom. So have a quick listen to this.
Por favor, vaya a la parte inferior de la pantalla en Zoom o YouTube y haga clic en subtítulos para leer en español.
Kérlek, menjünk képernyő aljára, a Zoomon vagy a YouTube-on, a Closed Caption részre, és ott el tudod olvasni magyarul a feliratot.
Silakan klik di layar bawah pada Zoom atau YouTube dan klik caption untuk membaca dalam bahasa Indonesia.
Pour les sous-titres en français, veuillez cliquer au bas de votre écran Zoom ou YouTube sur CC ou Closed Captions.
Zoom または YouTube の画面の下部に移動し、字幕をクリックして日本語で読んでください。
請到屏幕底部點閱隱藏字幕以閱讀中文。
Παρακαλώ πηγαίνετε στο κάτω μέρος της οθόνης, στο Zoom ή στο YouTube και κάντε κλικ στους υπότιτλους για να τα διαβάσετε στα ελληνικά.
請到屏幕底部點擊隱藏字幕以閱讀中文.
אנא עברו לתחתית המסך בזום וביוטיוב ולחצו על תרגום לכתוביות בעברית.
Proszę zejść na dół ekranu na Zoomie lub YouTubie i kliknąć napisy, żeby przeczytać po polsku.
Alrighty, fantastic. I always love the start of the events because it gives us that international flavor, international feel. For those people who logged in a little bit late, you missed all the thumpy music, setting the tone of members night before we got started. Having said that, I also said something about, hey, don't be shy. Type in where you're from. And some people did and some people didn't. And I'll just reiterate what I said. A leader in network marketing needs to step out of their comfort zone. And if typing in where I'm from is scary, that's going to be a problem for you if you're going to build a big business. So we love the fact that we currently have people online from Indonesia, from New Zealand, from Las Vegas, from Thumbs Up. Wonder where that is. Just joking. That was about the music. From Georgia, from Jamaica, from Hennessy, NV. I'm not sure where that is. Florida. People typing in from everywhere. Western Australia. All over the world, which is great. Now, some people also come on and watch the recordings at a later point, which might be on social media, or it might be sorry, just clicking this here, or it might be elsewhere on YouTube. And you can always watch the playbacks in YouTube. Now, it's funny, when we're talking about stepping out of your comfort zone, we naturally go in our comfort zone, don't we? Years ago in the mortgage industry, I was training people how to network. And of course, I saw the mortgage brokers walk in the door and sit next to everyone they already know. And I said, number one thing to do if you want to bust out of your comfort zone, go sit at another table with someone you've not met and just meet somebody new. That is a networker. If you go to all your networking events and sit with your friends because you're comfortable, you aren't going to meet new people, which means you're not going to grow your business very big either. So the name of the game in this industry is stepping out of your comfort zone. So today, I want to give you some feedback. So we actually have a diamond chat in our app, which all the diamonds around the world interact with each other on. And that's where they share what they think we need to hear. Now, on that note, the feedback about 2 weeks ago was that we needed to cover the following topics. The 3-step system of Neumi 123, sorting versus selling, the 4 quadrants of growth, the Neumi 123 system, how to invite. Now, we covered all 4 of those last week. If you didn't see it, go back and play that, and you can send it to anyone in your group so that they get onto the basics of the Neumi 123. One of the reasons we grow fast in this industry is that. Number 2, they asked us about motivation and sticking with it. New leaders motivating your team in network marketing. Step-by-step success, beginning with mindset and your own why. And then 2 others, which was prospecting for new people, past your warm list, and the power of 3 ways. So today we're going to cover off the first 4 I just said there, which is motivation and sticking with it, leaders, new leaders, motivating your team, and step-by-step success, your why, which is a critical component for you to stay motivated and so forth. And we'll cover off some of the others later. Now, so it's awesome timing for doing this topic because we have just kicked back into momentum. What do I mean? Well, I can tell you that when we started Neumi, if you look at the business for home, it went, 2 million, I can't remember the figures now, 15 million, 25 million, 36 million, right? So it's like this. Now, the truth is we went like that. We were literally going like this. And then we had some technology issues that brought the growth into a more normal, stable upsurge. Right now, we've just flipped up again, all the technology issues in the past. And of course, now we're seeing a really strong growth. And personally, this last 7 days, I put something on social media just earlier. In fact, I'll show it to you. It literally is blowing my mind, the momentum that's going on. So let me just bring it up and show you what I'm talking about. So I put this post up early today because I woke up this morning to congratulations, brand new 1-star direct team in the team in Italy. So welcome, congratulations, Luca. But I just went through the Greek team's ripping it up, 350 people on their call. Got introduced to some of the most influential networkers in Poland in this week. We have a huge team of professional ladies in the industry, done social media much more professional than I've ever seen in my life, just joined a different team. Taiwan, there's various leaders, even one guy who was an ex-general manager of one of the biggest network marketing companies over there. Another brand new team in Hong Kong. The Indonesian team's kicking it up, a few more gears. Thailand leaders ready to go. It's just crazy. And I talked about how do we create momentum because it wasn't always that easy. There are 5 things. Massive action. Don't poke it with a stick. Consistency breeds momentum. So show up every day. Duplication. Success is multiplied when the team follows exactly the same system around the world. Not everybody gets that, but not everybody rank advances fast. And energy and excitement. People are drawn to enthusiasm. You need to be the spark. And then speed. The faster you move, the harder you are to stop. And finally, mentoring. Make sure you select a mentor who is laser focused and doesn't waste their time across more than one company. And you'll have greater traction in your mentoring and building a business. So there you go. Someone said that's the first thing they saw when they switched on their social media this morning. So I'm pretty excited. Now, I'm not the only person who trains in Neumi. There are lots of crowns and different people. And one of the people I respect so much is actually Karen Justice. Karen Justice was the fastest crown in the company. She has one of the biggest businesses in the world. And she's so humble and she has a beautiful heart. So with that in mind, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play an audio message. She couldn't be here right now live, but she said, Michael, I do want to give people some feedback on this topic. So when we're talking about the topic of motivating your team, there's so many things to think about. So what I want you to do is get out a pen and paper and take some notes. And this is direct feedback from Karen Justice, who is, as I said, the fastest crown that we have ever seen achieve in this particular company. So give me 1 second and I'm going to play an audio message from her, which you can take some great notes down. All right. Now, what I want you to do is give me a thumbs up if you can hear this clearly when I play it. I'm looking at some of your cameras. Ready? Here we go.
With regard to motivating your team, I believe the best way to do it is to create a network of support, what I like to call a network of support. One of the magical things about network marketing is that you leverage your own time with the time of other people. And if you really work as a team, that is extremely motivational. Working with targets and goals and kind of doing them as a team, like calling the people in your group and finding out what target they'd like to achieve, and then really helping setting up 3-way calls. That there's some wonderful training on 3-way calls in the STAR workshops, but setting up 3-way calls and helping people. I wrote an article years ago for Upline magazine. And it was a very popular article, and it was the title was "Forget About Heavy Hitters, Go for the Real Leaders." And what it was basically about was the fact that most people don't come to the table with a lot of belief in themselves or belief in the opportunity. And so how you strengthen that belief is really good follow-up. When somebody has a success story, you underline it. And you let them know that with those types of successes, that's why building this business is so much fun. With those types of successes, most people want to help others, and you'd be glad to help them talk to people and let them know that you never know if somebody is like yourself and gets really excited about the business, they might have a whole income stream develop under them. So that's a gentle way of exciting somebody or getting them to take a look at it. If most people understood the type of income and security that you have at the higher levels of our compensation plan, they'd be working really hard. But the reason a lot of people don't, and the key that I was addressing in that article, is belief. So a very, very important thing for you as an upline is to make those follow-up calls, foster those little gentle baby steps that a first person takes, where they're just putting their toe out into the crosswalk. Let them have some successes, help them sign up some people, and then underline the fact that that's all they have to do. Just repeat that, and they can make it to the top. So I believe in stage building. I believe the first stages, you've got really a consumer. Even if they sign up as a builder, they're really a consumer until they have a lot of times their own successes with the product or success with signing somebody up. So you've got your consumer. Once you do effective follow-up, underline the success, they move on to what I call a share of the product. Once you underline those successes, once you link arms, create that network of support and underline those successes, they have the belief to make it to the top. Hope this helped.
All right, beautiful. I forgot to unmute myself. Here we go. So fantastic wisdom from Karen. Now, if there was something you got out of that will help you with your business, type in yes in the chat, because success leaves clues. Karen didn't fall on the top of a mountain. She didn't become a crown just because, oh, wow, what a lot of luck. I sponsored the right people. She's doing all the processes and practices to get herself to that rank. And that's really important to note. So success leaves clues. Make sure you spend time listening to people who've already been quite successful. I have a lot of admiration for the success that Karen's had, and also the dedication she has to supporting her team. So it's interesting. I said we covered off last week, the Neumi 123, the basics, how to approach people, all that sort of stuff. And today, one of the biggest topics people requested was motivating your team and motivating yourself. So the key thing is, I want you to know that it starts with knowing your why. And someone asked about that. Could we share the knowing your why? How do you work out what your why is? How clear that is? So I'm trying to click something on the screen here that's not working, and I don't know why. Come on. Weird. All right, I'll move it over here. Just want to be able to see something on the back, and I can't see it at the same time. Oh, fiddly. Go down the bottom corner. Maybe that'll work. Here we go. Beautiful. Yep. I agree, Christine. Absolute great wisdom from Crown Diamond Karen Justice. I got to tell you, I needed a neck brace when Karen joined my team, because it was going like this and then it went boom. And like I said, we went through a bit of a technology issue. We got through all of that and we kept growing at this rate, even though we were like this beforehand. But guess what's happening right now? Like I said at the start of this call, if you're on, showing you what's going on right across the world, all over the place, amazing growth, really kicking back in, and momentum is really starting to hit again. So first thing, if you want to motivate your team, it starts by being able to motivate yourself. Okay, so a question I have for you is, do you have a solid reason why? Have you sat down and thought about how much life would be different if you had achieved, let's say, diamond or crown? Okay. And type in yes if you've written that down and you're really laser focused. And look, let's be honest with ourselves. If you haven't written it down properly, spent a lot of time in it, just put not yet. And then today's session is probably going to be really advantageous for you. Type it in the chat. Love to see it. A few people saying not yet. Beautiful. Okay. So, and again, people are typing this in YouTube. People are typing this on Facebook at the very same time. Okay, so for some people, it could be as simple as how different would life be if you had an extra 2,000 a month coming in? Maybe, you know, 1 star, a solid 1 star or something like that. So what difference would $2,000 make? So here are some thoughts for those people who maybe got a block. Why am I building this business? Because sometimes people get in and say, look, I just want to help people with their health. And that's lovely. It's awesome. It's a noble cause. I have exactly the same background philosophy, but it's not my foreground, because sometimes if the time gets tough, yeah, do I really want to do that? Right? Whereas if I'm really clear about something that's going to motivate me and bring you to tears, that's going to help you. So do you want your kids to look at you and be proud of you as their hero because maybe you've helped your family break free of poverty, or, you know, there's a lot more financial benefits going on in your life now, right? Did you go to a questionable school like I did? Right. I can tell you this, when I was in school, you hear about Steve Scott and going to school with some of the well-known people like George Lucas and all these different people who are amazing on movies. You know what? I went to a school where I'll never forget, there was a guy called Jeff Latique, and this shows you how rough it was. One day he got kicked out of the classroom by the teacher, so he was sitting outside on a chair. Next minute, there's a bang noise and all the chair legs are sticking through the wall and people started hanging their coats on it. That's the kind of rough school I went to. So maybe you want your kids to go to a school that's not that rough. Every day I was fearing for my life. I got hit by a car running away from the bullies once. So maybe you don't want your kids to go through that sort of stuff, right? Maybe your kids have never been overseas, or maybe you've never been overseas. I can tell you, when my beautiful wife, Liz, met me, she'd never been overseas. Now she's been to about 12 countries, you know, all in about 3 years, which is amazing. So maybe you want to experience parts of the world. Maybe you want your kids to experience different cultures. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. So maybe you want to be so completely debt-free that you don't have anything attached to a bank. So if the bank goes down, they can't take your property and you don't want to be impacted. Maybe that's it for you, right? Maybe you're a couple and you want one of the partnership to stay home so you can have kids or support the kids if you missed a mum or something like that. You know, these days, households need more than one income. In fact, they say that you need between 3 and 4 incomes for quality of life. Because work-life balance hasn't improved as we got older. You know, it really hasn't. Or let's go back to the original thing. I want to help people. Well, maybe there's a charity that you really would love to support financially and with your time. So if you reach Diamond or Crown, maybe you've got no need to be at work anymore. So your spare time you can dedicate to doing something for a charity. Does that fire you up? You know, if any of these ideas fire you up, type in yes in the chat, right? This is about tapping into exactly what it is that motivates you, right? I can give you my own perspective that, having been in the corporate world, as you go up and up and up and up, you earn more and more money and you go, this is amazing. People saw me on social media going, oh, look at him. He's in hotels in all parts of Australia and New Zealand. I was almost depressed because I had a great income, but I wasn't seeing my family. So I've not met one person who can honestly look me in the eyes and say they have a balanced lifestyle in the corporate world, because corporations are driven by shareholders and they need more money. And of course, they're going to push you as hard as they can and get every ounce of blood and then ask for a few pints more. Okay. So for me, in the previous company where I first hit Diamond, for me, my daughter was my motivation, right? She said to me one day when I was working in the corporate world, Dad, I feel like a visitor. I hardly see you. And I swear it just made me tear up. It even does now. And I'm like, man, what am I doing? Right? I need to do something for them. So I dedicated my time so that I could have them first and foremost in my diary. Now, after that company, when I lost everything financially, lost my relationship, lost my income, lost all my assets, everything, and I started with Neumi as an Uber driver at that time, my motivation this time was never to be in that position again. I wasn't smart enough. This shows you I don't have wisdom on every topic. I wasn't smart enough to put away the acorns, and I literally went down to zero. Okay. So this time round, it was become a Crown as fast as possible and then put that money away. And my beautiful wife is in charge of the of the bank account. So I will guarantee we got the acorns away this time. So how do I motivate myself is first and foremost, and I need to be clear about what I want in life, because I can't motivate other people unless I'm very clear about what I want. Now, there's 2 statistics in the industry that are facts. If you want to write them down, we have them in our training, but if you haven't heard them, the average person in this industry only ever introduces 2.8 people. But then there is another statistic that says which is our training, the 130-10, that out of 100 people that you approach on a warm list, on average, depending on your influence, 30 people show an interest, maybe 20 customers, maybe 10 members. Now, those two figures don't add up. I say this all the time. Why is that? Because the difference is knowing your why, and that's why it's so critical, because the person who introduced 2.8 people rang their 20 best friends, got some knockback. All of a sudden they said, oh, I didn't really want to put my kids through private school. I didn't really want to support that charity. I didn't really want to go to Disneyland, right? Because I've got some negativity. And they, like a turtle, put their head back in and go, no, I'm good in the current state I'm in, right? So the key is the person with the 130-10 that keeps on meeting new people, keeps on doing the basics, keeps consistent. They know why they're doing it, and they have an emotional driver, which some people agreed with what I said. They typed in the chat, if it doesn't bring you to tears, you haven't tapped into it yet. So keep hunting on that. Now, once you have yourself highly motivated, only then you can motivate people in your team. So the next thing to look out for and be careful of is what's called management mode. What do I mean? So management mode might look like this. You've introduced your frontline 6 people, and now you're doing everything you can to support them, but you've stopped introducing people yourself. If you do that, you will eliminate your effectiveness. Why? You're now the manager. You're not the leader. The leader needs to keep doing things that they're telling the people to do at the same time, so they can say, finger in the pulse, see what I did today? Now, when I put that post up on social media today about we've got momentum in all parts of the world right now and new teams popping out, I'm actively involved in a lot of that stuff. So it's not surprising to me, but I can tell you it wasn't always momentum. We started slow, we took off, we plateaued, we took off again. Now we're in momentum all over again, but that's because we kept on doing the basics during that period. Now, nothing, let me say this, nothing will motivate your team more than seeing you do what you're doing, telling them to do successfully. I'll say it again. Nothing at all possibly will motivate your team more than them seeing you do what you're telling them to do successfully, right? That's the difference between a leader and a manager. Managers don't do very well in this business, right? Because they're used to pointing fingers and telling people what to do rather than showing people what to do. So there's a difference between supporting your group and driving your group. Now, you guys will see me and Alex and Karen, the main Crowns in the company do lots of things online to support the group. Alex is always on Latin American calls for all of the groups around the world, being the main driver of Latin America. I'm always on calls. Karen's always on her team calls, etc. But that's supporting a group, not driving the growth of a group. So there is a difference. So don't fall in the trap of, I'm doing everything to support my group. Are you driving your group? Okay. So what do I mean by driving? So let's talk about some of the things. So doing this today is not driving the business. Okay, just be clear. What I'm doing right now is supporting the business. So organizing a team call, having some training, doing some motivation, that's not driving the business. That's supporting the business. Being available for 3-way calls, that sort of stuff, that's still supporting the business. So what does driving the business mean? Well, if I really want to be a leader, I need to be out front. So I will continue to recruit, even though I've slowed that down because I've got a lot of teams. I will continue to recruit every now and then, and I will place people at the very bottom of the group that needs it the most. And then I will continue to work with that brand new person. The other thing I do is I hunt. And this is a big, if you are plateauing at 1-star, 2-star, or 3-star, I'll tell you why. You need to drive the growth of the business by getting to the very bottom of a group. Now, I have a brand new group, well, actually, it's part of a downline group that's exploding in Poland. Some of the most influential network marketers on the planet have just joined this group. And one of them asked me, hey, could I do a power of 3 times? I said, only if you're stupid. And I say that with love, because I said, if you understand a comp plan, the power of 3 is not a permanent bonus you should be focused on. The people who are focusing always on the first 3 levels of their business don't drive depth. They'll never hit crown, okay? So for me to drive depth and drive the growth of the business means I have to be down at the bottom of the group. So if I go down to, say, some people who I've become beautiful friends with, and we're talking about eating saganaki together in October in Greece, the Greek group, Andreas and George, love them as friends. There's 3 crowns between me and them, yet I'm still helping grow their business. Why would I do that? Now, the Polish group that I'm talking to now with some brand new people in there that are explosive leaders, there's also 2 crowns between me and them. Why would I do that? Well, because that's driving the depth of a business. That is, a driver arranges the meetings, supports the group, and continues to be available. And they want to make sure strategically they're in the right places, not just adding your own people, but supporting those people as well. Now, another thing that can dilute your focus is having a foot in more than one camp at a time, right? Because there's only so many hours in a day. And so anything that takes your mental focus away from Neumi in any other, even if it's a non-competing product, is just going to water down your effectiveness as a perception as a leader, but also in terms of the time availability you have to give to your group. So some people will do that and keep those companies totally separate because you have to, right? This with the rules, and that's totally fine if they want to do that. But I'm here today to talk about if you want to motivate your group and make sure that you don't eliminate your perception as a leader, then don't dabble in other things because it just deletes your perception as being a strong, solid leader. And it's interesting. Aaron and I have been talking about this because Aaron says, you know, you've heard me talk before about the triple sort. In fact, if you haven't, I'll talk about the triple sort. The triple sort is who's going to join you doesn't mean they're going to build. Just it's a statistic, right? So some of them will, some of them won't. But out of those people who join you, who's going to build? Right? Not everyone, maybe 20%. Then out of that, who's going to lead? And that was the triple sort. Well, the quadruple sort is now in discussion with Aaron, who is going to be a solid, trustworthy leader that is only involved in one gig that can be very clear in mentoring their people, right? So that's the quadruple sort. So it's interesting. I wrote a post the other day online and I said, introduce me to anyone in the world who's at the top rank of a company and in the second company at the top rank simultaneously and stayed at both, not having one slip while they change companies. It doesn't exist. They'd be called a unicorn, right? If I meet someone one day, they would be in the 0.00001% of the network marketing population. So beware of the naked man or woman trying to sell you the shirt off their back that hasn't actually done what they're telling you to do, right? Really important. So it's interesting timing because as I said, Aaron is saying we need to focus on true leadership, what leadership is, and these sorts of calls are about that. So having a rank in any company or even Neumi doesn't necessarily mean you're a leader. You might have sold your way there. You might have had someone downline built your way there. So let's talk about the leadership qualities, all right? So here's some poor leadership qualities to avoid if you're trying to motivate your team. Maybe write these down. Number one, don't give hyped up ridiculous goals. Sometimes a brand new person, and I can see it on the other side of the room here. I wish I had it in front of me, but I don't want to get out of my chair. I have a bamboo plant. And so some people see a Karen Justice go 5.5 months, boom, Karen is a crown. And they go, man, I'm going to match her. And they're brand new to the industry. And I go, that's awesome. But let's break it down to say, how are we going to get you to 1 star first? The reason behind that, Karen, like everyone in the industry, in any industry, has developed some skills, some confidence, some internal fortitude and knows what she's doing, some wisdom. And so like a bamboo plant, I don't know if you know this, Chinese bamboo stays under the ground for years. And then all of a sudden, I think it's 5 years, after all of a sudden you'll see a little thing pop up. And then with 90 days, it's like 90 feet tall. It's crazy. And so Karen has spent years developing her wisdom. That's why I'm saying, listen to that lady. She knows what she's talking about. You don't fall on the top of a mountain. She's a crown for a reason. But when you're setting goals with your people, don't set 5 months to crown goals for someone who's new to the industry because you're going to hinder their growth if you do that. Instead, break those goals down into baby steps and work with your team on vision mapping and goal setting. What does it take to get to 1 star? What are the activity things you need to do this week? And Karen kind of discussed that on hers. So that's the first one. Don't give ridiculous goals. Break them down. Help them break them down. Next one. Number 2, if you want to motivate your team, don't build the business without focusing on personal development. Money games don't stand the test of time. Personal development and culture do. So instead, be the one who's reading the book first that you can recommend to the team. Recently on social media, I put up a photograph. I'd finally moved into my office in the new house, and I've got this wardrobe full of books, and I encourage the group to come and borrow those books. So the question is, what are you reading? Are you reading anything? And if you're not reading anything, how will you ever motivate your group? Because you need to read the book you tell them to read that's going to be the tool that'll help them. So do me a favor, type in the chat right now, what are you reading? What are you reading right now? And if you're not, just put not yet, but I'm going to start today. There's some great books to read in this industry. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself is a brilliant book that'll help people with their mental blocks. The Magic of Thinking Big, I read it at 18 years of age. What's the other one? How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? Another brilliant book about people skills, right? So Jacqueline's reading that the same book. Fantastic. So read these books, you know. It's interesting. And Bible, fantastic, Roger. Now, some people read the Bible, some don't. It's interesting. The other day, I reread for the 10th time a tiny little book called As a Man Thinketh. And someone said, that's already in the Bible. I'm like, that's great. But if you're limiting yourself to that, expand into other books, guys. You know, the more you read from different perspectives, the more well-rounded you become as a leader. Okay. Next one, point number 3. Don't be the henny penny, the sky is falling, whatever you do. Don't be that person who misery loves company, who rings a Crossline member to whinge about something that didn't go right. I've seen some groups that took off like this, plateaued, and now are like this, and they wonder why. And I can tell you, I saw ahead of time they were talking to Crossline people in a negative fashion. Now their businesses are all about a quarter of the size they were. As Aaron calls it, don't pee in your own pool. If you're pissing in your own pool, you're going to destroy your business. So if I have a problem with something, do I tell someone in my downline? No, I go to Alex or I go to corporate. So positive upline only, negative upline only, positive downline, positive crossline, encouragement crossline. I don't get involved in coaching crossline, but positive crossline, encouragement crossline. So the point here is keep a calm demeanor. If the sky is falling, I can't say who this is, but there was a person in my team who's not a high rank, who has a downline team exploding right now. And of course, we're going to have issues. And I had to pull her aside and I said, hey, just be aware, don't get pulled into the negative, you know, hype of something, the sky is falling. Be the calm person with a demeanor that says, okay, cool, let's get Michael on a call and let's look at how we resolve this instead. So don't spread the cancer. Misery loves company. If you've got someone crossline who reaches out to you a lot with negative stuff, maybe stop answering the phone, okay? Because you need to protect your group. With that in mind, I said this already, but don't distract your group with other products. All you do is you take their focus away from building the Neumi business. And I've had someone say to me recently, and they approached me about something else. I get approached all the time. And they said, look, this is not going to be in competition with the Neumi products. It'll add to your income. I said, you know what? For an uneducated novice, that sounds true, but it's not. I said, what it'll do, if I was to take up another product myself, all of a sudden anyone following me goes, Michael's not focused. Michael's doing multiple gigs. And of course, then my leadership perception has been diminished as a result of it. So I stay laser focused and I won't ever get involved in anything else because I don't want to. And this is the other thing too. Even if I said, well, I'm doing it and it's working, I've just hindered all my downline for their growth because now they think they can do 2 businesses. And again, I've not met anyone who's successfully done it all the way to the top anyway. They all get to a medium level and then one drops off and the other one. So they eventually they have to decide which horse they're riding, if you like, because you can't ride 2 horses at the same time. So show them how laser focused you are. That's another way to motivate your team, right? Don't dilute it. Okay. As your business grows, don't rely on other presenters. This is, I don't know if that's number 3 or 4, probably 4. So as your business grows, don't rely on other presenters. As we start, we want to make the barriers as low as we can. So we say, use the tools, don't be a tool. You don't need to present. We have app videos. We have upline presenters. We have weekly calls. Use all those. But eventually, you hit 1 star, maybe 2 star. I'm looking at the beautiful Christine right now who said, pick me. I want to be a presenter. So a great sign of a leader is someone who steps up to the next task, and presenting is one of those, and says, pick me. And then the group goes, me too. So you need to be the one that jumps out of the comfort zone first, and then you can inspire other people to do the same. So again, I'll go back to leadership. It's not management. Yeah, you should go and learn how to train, or you should go and learn how to present. Well, what are you doing? Have you stepped up to be a presenter yet? All right. Now, can you go all the way to the top without being a presenter? Yes, you can, but it's going to make it a lot more effective if you learn the basics of how to do it. And we will mentor you on that. So I'd love to put this word out right now for everyone on YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom. Who would like to be the next presenter? Who would like to be mentored to be one of the official presenters on the Tuesday night call, which is where we bring people through? And by the way, we don't have someone present the first time ever to you. We won't let you experiment on other people. We'll have you take those slides, learn those slides, present them verbatim on your own to yourself or your own group. Then we'll hear a recording of you, and then we'll bring you in and allow you to present to everybody else. So we won't let a brand new person experiment on other people's groups. So you need to rank advance to have the credibility to be a presenter first, okay? So next one, I think this may be point number 5. I didn't number them. Don't recommend people join crossline Facebook groups, as that's a guaranteed surefire way of losing your team down the track. And I've seen it recently, right? When a crossline team doesn't learn how to be a leader from you, sorry, when your downline doesn't hear about how to become a leader from you, but they hear it from crossline people, they end up wanting to be part of that team, right? So I have a brand new group in Hong Kong, and they said, hey, we've seen some online stuff from this group. Can we use it? I said, you could, but you have an upline here. You'd be smarter working with me and helping you become the presenter in Hong Kong so that you are perceived as a leader, because perception is reality, okay? Not only that, if you have people join another Facebook group that's not Neumi New You or Neumi members, the only 2 safe groups that are actually edified by the company, everything else is a team individual group. If you put people in those companies, those pages, and then they decide to leave, guess what? They're going to take your people with them. And I've seen it happen before, right? So it all starts, we're all in love, cross-line, and then somebody doesn't follow the system and you do with your team. And then this person whose group they're in goes, you know what, it's not working, not looking in the mirror going, I'm not working it. They're going, it's not working. And they go, I'm leaving. And they change the name of the group and all your people just went with them. So be careful. Keep them in all the safe places. Neumi New You, Neumi members, or your upline, right? Preferably just Neumi New You and Neumi members anyway. Next one, don't train and mentor with your personality type without considering theirs. Oh, this is huge as a leader, and this is a gear change as well. So what do I mean? I'll give you a good example. Corporate did a magnificent job of putting together the 90-day plan. Oh my God, I love it. It's fantastic. Just going to be honest with you. I read it once. I've not used it ever since, but I will use it when I'm talking to a beaver or a golden retriever. If you don't know the personality types, what are you doing? You should have already studied that by now. It's in the back office. So for those people who know color coding, a beaver is green for that type, if you're familiar with that, and a golden retriever is yellow. So they will read the 90-day plan. In fact, I was joking when I was talking to corporate the other day, and I said, you know, some of those beavers and golden retrievers will float out. They'll highlight every page. Then they're going to laminate the page and they're going to put it in a frame. And this is all instead of doing the work, right? Then there is the Fast Start Guide, which is a one-pager, which gives you the basics. And if you're talking to a lion or an otter, right, which is the green, which is the red and the blue, and that's Christine, bang, straight into the Fast Start Guide. Don't bore me with the details. Let me go. So make sure when you're training and mentoring someone, you know what sort of personality you're dealing with so you can give them the adequate tools. That's how to motivate them. Because if you don't have the details for the beaver, they need the details to be motivated, right? So that's, again, just know who you're dealing with. So understand the quadruple sort, okay? Who's going to join versus who's going to build versus who's going to lead versus who's going to be a solid, laser-focused, 1 gig only Neumi leader, which is what Aaron's looking for, those people, because they're the ones we want to put on a pedestal. So we know we have the stability of the company with that. Now, statistically, these stats are exactly the same if you look at anything else like the gym, right? Now, I'm 56. I'm not going to brag and say that I'm some kind of, you know, muscle rippled, whatever. I'm not. But I can tell you that I go to the gym 2 days a week right now, which is probably not anywhere near as much as, say, Rhonda and Sherry, who are just examples of health. But those 2 days is having me start to build muscle, and I'm stronger and more mobility than I've had in my entire life. I'm lifting more weight than I ever have. But there are other people who go to the gym like Rhonda and Sherry more often, and they're getting even more results, okay? So the 80-20 rule applies. There are some people, and January the 1st, booked into my local gym. I've not seen them since. So they set a New Year's resolution, I'm going to be fit, and then they never followed through. So if that's the same in gym, why would that be any different in network marketing? When someone gets in network marketing, sees someone start and then quit, they go, oh, it doesn't work. It's like, no, what's wrong with you? That's normal. That's the same as it is in every industry. Why would it be so much different here? Okay. So in conclusion, Here's the things to remember. Know, if you haven't written them down, just highlight them or write them down now. Know your reason why first, and be so highly motivated and active, you become an inspiration to your team. That's how to motivate them. Be the thermostat, right? Be the spark in your group that sets the tone like a thermostat does for the positivity. Be the reader who reads books and recommends them to the people following them. Be ahead of others reading those books. Invest in yourself and then teach others to do the same. Involve upline in three-way calls and Zoom and create a community feel of support. And again, keep them in your own Facebook groups. Don't give them in others unless you want to hear me say, I told you so in a couple of years from now, right? And again, 38 years in the industry, I'm not speaking from theory, I'm speaking from practical experience. And assist all the people in your team by assisting in three-way Zooms as part of the step 2 process of Neumi 1, 2, 3. Be a leader to your group. Don't be a manager. Drive the depth of your business. Get down the very bottom of that and know your downline's motivation and remind them about why they're building it. Okay. I've got a beautiful lady in my team who will listen to this soon, who's in the Sunshine Coast. And when she first saw the business, I asked her, why do you want to do this? And she said, I want to be an example for my kids. She hit some brick walls, didn't get much traction at the start. I could see her motivation sort of waning a little. And I said, let me just remind you why you're doing this. You want to be an example to your kids. You want to be the best version of yourself. You want your kids to see you as a hero. Yeah. Just like I did with my kids. She said, yeah. And I'm like, well, that motivates her to keep going, because sometimes you'll strike dirt. You're like, oh, is this going to change? Dirt. Then all of a sudden you will strike gold and you'll wonder why you've been complaining, right? So stay consistent. Don't dilute your leadership by dabbling in more than one thing at a time. Step up and be the presenter so you're perceived as the real leader of your team. And keep a level head and don't get drawn into misery loves company. So I hope this has been helpful for everybody. I certainly know that none of this was created out of theory. This was created out of a lot of people asking us if they could we could share these sorts of topics for you. Okay, so I'd love to see every single one of you make some comments when we put this into the Neumi members group as feedback today, and share that to everyone. It's on YouTube, and that'll help everybody build their groups. So next week, just a heads up, corporate will be doing the call. And let me tell you this. Actually, I can't. Ryan just told me something, and he said, I'm telling you, but don't tell anyone else. So I'm here on the group. I'm going to tell you all. No, I'm not. I'm actually going to tell you, just don't miss next week's call. Because he'll shoot me if I tell you what he just told me. But I can tell you there is something very exciting that even if I allude to it, I'll get shot. So don't miss next week's corporate call. Some exciting stuff's going to be announced, and make sure everyone gets to review this one as well. Been a pleasure presenting today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.